Thank you, Dina. I'd like to call to order Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority, Sosa Valley Fire and Rescue, and Western Lane Ambulance District Joint Board Meeting. Will you rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, to get that. Okay. Holly, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Yes, Sosa Valley Fire Rescue and WLFEA directors, Director Burns,
Here.
Director Polisi,
Here.
Director Heppel,
Present.
Director Spade,
Here.
Director Mandola, Western Lane Ambulance and WLFEA directors, Director Yesney,
Here.
Director Russell, Director Webb,
Here.
Director Holbrook, Director Buss.
Here.
And Holly,
Yes,
Tim is here for the fire board.
he is here.
He just showed up.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. And Cindy told me she was not gonna be here tonight.
Okay.
So we knew that. Okay, we have quorums for. Oh, I just noticed it's snowing outside.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, okay. We have quorums for all three agencies. So public comment, is there any public comments? Dina?
No.
Thank you. Would anybody in the audience like to comment on anything? Not hearing anything. So our consent agenda consists of the meeting minutes from our regular meeting in January 26th. Staff reports and correspondence. Would anybody like to pull anything out of the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll submit that as the consent agenda. Oh, and I did want to, we've added one item under old business. Is that, so we have, number one is Western Lane Ambulance District appoint a board secretary treasurer. That was John Murphy. We have to replace him. He was also the secretary treasurer for WLFEA, so we have to add that. We'll have to replace him as well, so we'll cover that.
Whoever took his place works.
That's what I think.
Oh, but you're right.
Yeah, but we'll have to do that officially when we get there.
That's not one.
So, call volume. Chief House.
How long? Keep it simple and short. We continue a downward trend compared to last fiscal year. No rhyme or reason to it, other than we came out of a busy season of COVID over the last 3 years, and we had more interfacility transfers during those times than we've ever did for EMS and fire calls. It will always mirror kind of EMS calls in our call line, but that was pretty much why our call volume is lower than normal. I do want to point out, because I have the floor for a little bit, we had an unremarkable fire save on the 11th, where the crews stomped it quick and saved, not only hit the fire from extending into the main structure, but was able to isolate it to the garage and save a large building from actually a very high cost loss. So, and I echo you guys heard me talk about our first conch being really strong. This is what I'm talking about, is we were able to get on scene quickly with competent people and hit it quick and knock it down quick.
The picture of that, that's the picture of the car that my chief.
That's not, unless there's questions.
Okay, review of monthly financials, Dina.
Well, I don't have anything major to report. Things are looking good. We're 8 months into the fiscal year, so we should be tracking expenses around 67%. I did want to say that all 3 audits are now complete, and hopefully our main auditor will be at the April 23rd meeting. Is that April 23rd, I think? The next meeting anyway, to present the audits. So those are done. We are actively working on the budgets, and we have budget committee meetings all through April. So, things are on track and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. And Dr. Holbrook just showed up, so we can mark him as present. Thank you. Any questions for Dina on the financials, anything?
I have one for Matt and Dina regarding the GEMT, which looks like it's up twice what I used to see. Is that something new? Is there?
It is.
So we have the GEMT fee for service and then GEMT coordinated care organizations. And we got a lump sum this year of roughly 137,000. That's anticipated that the Medicaid would be cycled back into the Medicaid payments would be higher reimbursements to us moving forward. So we have that one lump sum as we're moving forward with that.
So it's kind of a catch up.
Kind of, we know that Medicare, Medicaid, they're really good about paying their bills.
Yeah, they certainly are.
And I also want to point out that GEMT stands for Ground Emergency Medical Transport.
So that might continue forward, but our reimbursement rate will go up.
We believe from what we're hearing, the reimbursement rate percentage will go up when we look at it year to year from mainly the Medicaid population.
Yeah, so the lump sum will go away, but
Yeah.
at the end of the year, it'll be,
Yeah, so that's good.
any other questions on finances? Okay, go to old business. So Western Lane Ambulance District, you need to appoint a board secretary treasurer to replace Mr. Murphy.
Who has what roles right now?
So Cindy is the board president. And Vanessa is the vice president, and the board secretary treasurer is vacant.
Nominate Dr. Holbrook.
The most
Mike, that was good. You looked at the rank and said that one. Was Dee the second? Something you could do.
The role of secretary treasurer is to, you're signatory on resolutions and other documents. There are other official roles, you're supposed to go over the audits with us and things like that. But typically we do that as the entire board, so mainly it's just having your signature on some important documents.
Sounds good, I can sign stuff.
Okay. Dr. Holbrook has volunteered to be board secretary treasurer.
We got a first and second.
Yes, they made the second.
So we have, who made the motion?
Mike made the motion.
So Director Webb made the motion, Director Yesney seconded. Any further nominations?
I move the nominations be clear.
All in favor? Okay, passed unanimously. So now for the entire group, we need to do the same for WLFEA. Are there any nominations for boards? So right now, Director Burns is president.
Correct.
And Director Polisi is vice president.
Correct.
And of SVFR. And Director Heppel is secretary treasurer. Okay. Which you can fill that role for WLFEA as well. But is there any nominations for, it was held by the same person before. Well, I'm not putting Dr. Holbrook on the spot, but
No.
is there anybody that would like to be
So one of the-
secretary treasurer
what are
for
the current
WLFEA?
roles on WLFEA?
Is your president, vice president of WLFEA, I think it is
Jim.
Director Polisi, and we have no secretary.
I think it'd be a good time to nominate Vanessa.
I second.
Director Webb nominated Vanessa. It was seconded by Director Burns.
Yeah.
Any other nomination? Again, it's just, okay, nominations are closed. All in favor of Vanessa as secretary treasurer of Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Good, passes. Thank you for filling those positions. We appreciate that. Okay, now we'd like to call to order, local contract review board. This is an open the public hearing for, Sisseton Valley Fire and Rescue. And now we're going to review our local contract, review documents, and this is suggested by our attorneys, local law government group. Every couple of years, we have to renew, the documents we use for procuring large pieces of equipment or large contracts. And, they write it all out specific for, we have to do this 3 times. But it's all the same. We have to do this every 3 years, has to be adopted by resolution by each of the 3 boards. So we open the public hearing. Are there any public comments on the, local contract documents? There are any public comments, written comments, Dina?
No,
Okay, we'll close that. Would you like to, do you want to explain any more what those documents are, Dina?
not really. There's, you've got a large amount of documents in your board packet. I'm sure everybody read page by page. But like Chief said, it's a formality process we have to go through at the advice of our attorneys. Most of the rules do mirror the Attorney General's rules. There's just some that do not, and so our attorneys make suggestions on exemptions and amendments. It's a huge document. The resolutions are long and the exhibit is long, but it basically boils down to, we're doing the right thing and we're adopting these resolutions to make it official. And like Chief said, we have to do the same process again every few years. So we open it up for nominations on the resolution.
Motions to approve.
Motions to approve. Thank you.
We're looking for motions to, and the title of the resolution is on page 2.
Yeah, it's resolution 2023-02. Do I have a motion to approve?
Police approve.
Director Spade made the motion. Do I have a second?
Police.
Director Polisi seconds. All those in favor of resolution 2023-02, a joint resolution of the board of directors, respond by saying aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All those in favor, respond. You already did it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll open the public hearing for Western Lane Ambulance District. Any public comments, Dina?
No,
We'll close the public hearing. Same action expected of the Western Lane Board.
So Western Line Ambulance Board District looking for a resolution to approve resolution number 2023-01. I have a motion.
It is 01, yeah.
I'll make it so it won't be at 01 as well.
Different district.
that's
different
correct, because Sayusa Valley had a prior resolution already adopted in the year 2023. So this is the first resolution for WLFEA and Western Lane.
Okay, so
Director
So-
Yasny with a motion to approve resolution 2023-01, and Director Webb with a second.
So
All
you got,
approved.
you got that, Holly?
Got it.
Okay.
I have a motion for all approved.
Yeah,
Motion to approve.
all in favor?
that's unanimously. Okay, thank you. Now, all directors, same thing for Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority. It's resolution 2023-01. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Director Burns, seconded by Director Spade.
We didn't open public hearing.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
I did.
We'll open the public hearing. Are there any public comments for WLFEA?
No,
Okay. We'll close the public hearing. Now, we've got a motion by Director,
You want me to read the resolution?
you can.
All right, I'm gonna read the whole thing so everybody knows what's going on here. Just kidding. West Lane Fire and EMS Authority Resolution number 2023-01, joint resolution of the directors and local contract review committee to opt out of the Attorney General model. for public contracting rules and amending public contracts rules for the Western Lane Fire and EMS Authority. A motion to approve. In order.
That was made by Director Byrne. And it was seconded by Director Spade, yeah, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So, item number 4 of new business is to appoint budget committee members. And were those, do we have any to appoint?
So Chief, we do not have any applications for Siuslaw Valley Fire at this point in time. There may be 1 or 2 coming in between now and budget process.
Okay.
But as of tonight, we have no applications to appoint anyone for.
Okay. So we're still looking for budget committee members for SVFR, so if you know of anybody that would like to participate. So they're not sure, have come talk to me, I'd be happy to go over it. So Western Lane Ambulance District, we have, we have 2, how many open spots on Western Lane Ambulance?
We have 3 open positions with 2 applications. The applications are in your packet, but real briefly, one of the applications is Ron Thompson, who is a board member for Mapleton Fire District. And the other application is Susie Lacer. She's been on multiple boards. She's a grant writer or grant consultant and writer. She's been on many city county boards. And she's also a current board member of the Siuslaw Public Library District.
So we did visit with Mapleton Board. I mean, we encouraged them to participate and we did get somebody from the Mapleton Board. So we have 3 positions. We have 2 applicants. So we're looking for Western Lane Ambulance District Board to appoint, if they so choose, 1 or 2 of these to the budget committee.
I would move to approve both.
I would second that motion.
So motion to approve both by Director Webb, seconded by Director Buss. All in favor?
Aye.
They are appointed. Welcome to the club. So our next action item is to appoint a representative to LCOG, the Lane Council of Governments. They contacted us and they've had open spots for Western Lane Ambulance District Board member and for Siuslaw Valley Fire and Rescue Board member. Unfortunately, they meet the 4th Thursday of every month at 6 o'clock. But we do have a volunteer, Director Police, he's volunteered to represent. He'll definitely represent SVFR. He can represent Western Lane Ambulance District as well as far as giving feedback, if that's so. I think he's gonna try.
I'll be downstairs
Okay.
with them online Zooming
Right.
while watching our board meetings from up here. I got it all worked out.
Seriously.
So Lane Council
I
of
believe
Governments,
that.
they helped
Perfectly
us.
legal, I checked. I know what's going on.
So LTOC helped us with our strategic plan. They've helped us understand PERS. We've had a director, Brenda, I don't remember her last name, but she came and talked about PERS. So there is a lot that I think that we get from LTOC. So thank you.
You're welcome. We need a voice.
Got a question. I remember, and Rick, you might remember, LCOG has an executive rule that somebody, if you remember years ago, somebody from Western Lane County is also on the executive board. You remember that?
Yeah, we have a representative.
Yeah. That it might be the city rep now, but somebody from Western Lane County is always on the executive board.
Yeah, they used to meet here every once in a while.
Exactly.
Right.
And didn't LTOC request to meet here before?
Yes, they have in the past. I think it got canceled for one reason or another. It might have even been during the COVID time.
Or because we had our meeting at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
We wouldn't, but yeah, we'll go, Jim will find out.
LCOG, when I was president, they were amazing, the grant writing and all the knowledge that their staff has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chief, We have two representatives, why don't we have one for WLFEA, just have one instead of two?
Well, FEA is not a member of LCOG, it's just special district.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I don't want to, I mean, if there's a Western Lane ambulance director that would like to be
I think
at the meeting,
just before, we could change our board meeting time.
like noon.
I missed that, but now there's a lot of people who could make it.
Yeah. That can be a discussion anytime the board desires to discuss that. So,
My personal feelings when it comes to, the ability to have our board members, but also somebody willing to go to SELCOM, I would say we need to move our board meetings from the fourth Thursday, because we need somebody there at SELCOM.
okay, so what if,
But that is, you know, we also have staff that we need to concern.
sure,
Well, we could just do it the Wednesday before that Thursday, because they only meet 4 times a year, right? So then I'll come to the meeting and then go over there on Thursday.
So why don't you change it to the Wednesday before this week?
We could.
I can't ever come to that time, because I have my,
No, I'm just saying,
not for our meeting.
no.
Oh, okay.
How long is the commitment? What are we talking about here? How long do they usually have meetings?
They're 4 times a year.
And alcohol usually lasts like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, a few hours. And it just happens that it falls on our night.
So does it warrant to change all the board meeting times 4 times?
no,
Is there a special amendment that you can make and say, on those 4 times, we adjust the times, but maybe we send a survey out or do something where. Because I don't know how I feel about getting stuck in the moment of trying to make a decision of changing something that I have really structured.
Well, I
So-
would think Lacey could be excused 4 times a year.
That's right. I could just, as long as there's one, I could be over there. If something is critical here,
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do, it's only 4 times a year,
that's right.
And they're recorded,
Yeah,
and if we have special,
and if there's a special meeting, I can be downstairs with them via Zoom. And still be watching what's going on up here. Or if I need it,
so what I'm hearing is that Director of Policing will attend the LCOG
yeah, I'll
meeting,
just go.
to just go, and that we won't change the time.
If something changes, that's fine. We
Okay.
changed it before during the month. October.
Okay.
Dina, will you notify them for me or should
Yes.
I?
I will, Jim.
Okay. Director comments, would any director like to comment on anything?
I would, just to piggyback what Matt said about that fire. Whoever that crew was, they need to be recognized, all of them. Because that was,
Captain Pearson's crew.
that, I looked at that photo. And from my background, that thing was ready to just go off. And cars are full of fuel, everybody knows that. Predominantly plastic, and the time that this call came in, a lot of people in our sleep cycles, they're at that first really deep.
Yeah,
And those are the fires that used to really concern me. Around that time frame between 10:30 and 12:30, and then 3:30 to 5:30 in the morning.
yeah,
Those were the times that when I would get called out, I'd be like, oh, please.
yeah, no,
Smoke
they're
alarms
very
work.
lucky, yeah, yeah.
So, well done.
Thank you.
That just shows the leadership and training from top, left, right to the bottom, how everything is supposed to work. And you guys were there on the scene pretty quickly. I saw the sheet times. So that's really good.
Yeah, we were right on crazy.
Nice work. Thank you.
Question for you on that, if that were a Tesla, do we have the equipment to put that out?
Nobody does.
Right.
No, we went through a electric vehicle fire class over last summer. And literally they're dumping thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons on it, and they won't put them out. So it's been,
There are the blankets though now that are coming out.
yeah, so really right now it's
So
also,
one-time use.
Yeah, right now it's all exposure control until the blankets come more and now first out.
Chief House, do we know what the cost was? Do we buy them in half dozen packets or what?
I have not researched that.
Okay, because I think it's a great investment, even though they're a one-time use, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you throw them over a vehicle, whether it's in a garage or outside, that thing's gonna go out.
There's many other applications for it versus just the EVs.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. we can
Yeah,
use.
it's just not Teslas. I mean, there's all sorts of electric vehicles that are,
I'll look into it.
it's good. They're not that big of a packet. They're maybe half the size of this table, and they're put in a, what we used to call a Palo Alto fold for salvage covers, predominantly the same setup. You butterfly it out, and then two people in full SCBA and PPE, they just drape it over the vehicle and tuck it under, and that's it.
Okay, we'll have to look at it. Any other directors?
Yeah, I do. After, last week's meeting and seeing what our sleeping quarters look like behind this wall, I would like to at least entertain an idea of how we can make that better for the people that have to stay here overnight. I don't, false walls, something that's a little more homey than a sheet between them. It just doesn't seem right. I don't know what we do with that or how we move forward with that, but I would like to entertain doing something.
We can certainly try and figure out something.
I think between, we've got quite a few contractors. And
Sure.
even if it's
They're
volunteer.
non-bearing partitions,
Yeah.
so they're only
just something.
supporting themselves. You know, as long as they go up to a certain privacy height,
So we
I think
can do
it's a
something
great
better.
investment.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
I'd be happy to help participate or rally people to
Sure.
put in work.
I agree.
Other comments? Anybody?
Is there an updated list or a calendar of events that, trying to figure out wording on this, that not necessarily I could participate in, but that would reflect good for our district and getting our name out there? Because there was a time where, when I first came in, the voting levy, and, I know that over at LFA, we do a lot of things to be active in the community, and I'm just wondering if there's like a list of those kind of things, events that you would like folks to attend.
Yeah.
There's a couple that come to mind, like we have our Life Med push that comes in May, that generally it's good to have our directors and staff at certain places to hand out the Life Med brochures and educate to it. We also have healthcare or health fairs that we participate in, disaster expos that we just participate in. Having, that person as a board representative participate with it, I think.
National Night Out and we haven't put it all on a list, but I think that would be a good idea because, yeah, I know directors have talked about that before. They'd like to be there.
If I can get that ahead of time.
Yeah. We'll move then. Other questions, comments?
You're doing anything you can to make this meeting run longer.
I gotta go at least till 6:30. Yeah.
Any updates from a request for, equipment through the state? Have they awarded those grants yet? Or no?
Equipment or people, we haven't heard anything. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, a couple of state updates, because how we're talking about it, we haven't heard anything about the safer grant essentially, or vehicle grant. But there's also a Senate bill that's going through right now at the state level that removes the associate's degree for paramedics for 5 years. So in that 5 years, and people can go through paramedic mills like down in California.
Is the recruitment that severe that they have to reduce this requirement? Or is this?
I don't know what the background is to that. I don't know why they're doing that, but it could be.
Did you say paramedic bills?
Yeah, like puppy mills.
Oh, I know, yeah.
I mean, California predominantly will push them through in like 9 months with no other background training or experience to it.
Are they doing this to attract medics from out of state?
No, because this is actually at the state level in order to become certified or licensed with the state of Oregon. And you go through the schooling, it's.
Right.
Then you go through everything you have to, you have your associate's degree, you hand it in, you get your license. Now they're removing that for 5 years, like a 5-year stay on it. And then after that 5 years, you go back to the associates, but during that time, the paramedic program will be very condensed. It won't be like an associate's degree at all.
Other states don't require. it.
Yeah, and I kind of like what Oregon does. Like, doesn't Washington do it too?
Don't think they would require an associate.
There, I think Maine and us were the only states that literally required it for the license. And that could be, there could be more now with this.
And that's an AS degree in paramedicine?
Yeah.
But Washington State,
I'll ask the doctor. Do you think it's warranted, right?
More training, the better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well,
I
it
think
also,
the training's the same, it's just, do you take the extra classes to get your associate's degree, social science thing?
Well,
something to fall back on with burnout, high stress volume job that we have. Now you have associates to go back into school to get a different
Sure.
degree. That's the value of it as well.
Washington State limits the number of paramedic schools, I think there's only 3 or 4 in the state.
yeah, not very many on the West Coast, right? Freeman in LA, actually in Washington,
Harborview, Central Washington, one in Tacoma,
Stanford is doing it now,
yeah,
so. Interesting.
okay. So we have a WLFEA budget workshop coming up April 6th. Western Lane Ambulance District budget meeting April 13th, SVFR April 20th. And then our next regular joint board meeting will be April 27th. So, is there a motion to
Are we
adjourn?
gonna be able to attend those budget meetings via?
To Zoom, yes.
If need be?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.